Coming up in this package drama, the National Security Ministry, as lawyers for the victims of the Ayawaso West Ogun by-election violence, reject a compensation package processed for their clients.
We are aware. Just that, this country is for all of us. You should not be politicizing things. You understand? We should not be politicizing things. They are aware. If you ask them, they are aware. And so if you are their lawyers, fine.
We'll hear from them and the victims who continue to suffer 2 years on.
I cannot do anything. You can see my leg. The leg has spoiled. There is no bone inside my leg. As I'm speaking to you, there is no bone.
Also, the 499 candidates who believed they passed the Ghana Law School entrance exam but were denied admission are in court to enforce their rights. Earlier this week, they presented a petition to Parliament.
It has never happened. Now 57, I am here fighting for my right. Someone had 50 and is in there and is being asked to register and start law school. Is it because my mother is a Chako?
Also in this package, Assistant Commissioner of Police Dr. Benjamin Agojo could suffer the death penalty if the current high treason charge against him in court is proven. His fight for his interdiction to be revoked has, however, suffered another adjournment. And coming up in business,
the National Petroleum Authority announces it will implement suspension of price stabilization and recovery beginning in November. Meantime, government is hinting it will consider calls to remove taxes on fuel products to cushion consumers.
This is Joy News Prime. We're coming to you live from our Frontal studios at Kokomlemle here in Accra. We're live on DSTV, channel 421, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay with us. There was drama at the National Security Ministry as lawyers for victims of the Ayawaso West Ogun by-election violence rejected a compensation package for their clients, calling for more engagement and transparency on the matter. The lawyers, Abraham Amaliba and Victor Kojoga Adaudu, say the ministry did not engage them and were not aware of what went into the computation of the compensation package, describing it as an ambush. Maxwell Alba has more.
Just that, this country is for all of us. You should not be politicizing things. You understand? We should not be politicizing things. They are aware. If you ask them, they are aware. And so if you are their lawyers, fine. But don't say that you are surprised. We surprised you. We haven't surprised you because they are the people that we are dealing with. They are aware. If you ask them, they are aware. And so if you are their lawyers, fine. But don't say that you are surprised. We surprised you. We haven't surprised you because they are the people that we are dealing with. They are the people that we are dealing with.
Everybody know what happened on that day. I'm an NDC man, so I went.
One of the victims, a former footballer who says now he can no longer play football. He says, but for the intervention of John Mahama, he would have been begging for arms on the streets.
We don't know why we should leave. We are here to work for our party. Before we saw he start shooting, he started shooting on the air. Before we saw straight bullet, they started shooting us. Before I see myself, I was on the ground. So I woke up, I just fell down. I woke up, I think about 4 times. I fell down. Before I see, my leg is angry. It's shaking. Then I called one of my brothers to help me. Before I saw myself, I was in the 37. I cannot play football, I cannot do anything. You can see my leg. The leg has spoiled. There is no bone inside my leg. As I'm speaking to you, there is no bone. I'm still under treatment. I cannot do anything for the leg. You can see the leg.
Yeah. How this affected your life?
He affected my life badly. I cannot do anything. Getting to 3 years, I'm just inside the room. I cannot do anything by the help of NDC and my families. They are those feeding me.
Lawyers for the victims, Abraham Amaliba and Victor Kojoga Adawudu, have been telling us why they rejected the compensation package and called for more engagement on the matter.
They were asked to come here for a meeting, and they assumed that this is the beginning of the negotiation. Look at them. To them, and that's where the surprise element comes in. The surprise element is not because we are not saying that we are not aware of this meeting, but the understanding was that today was the beginning or the commencement of the negotiation of the compensation. So we got here and were only told that, oh, they have compensation packages. And we thought that, no, how did they arrive at those figures? We needed to understand how they arrive at those figures and to also explain to our clients. For transparency's sake, we thought that we should hold on with this process. We'll engage them, I mean the national security people, as lawyers, after which we'll engage our clients and this meeting can come on. Like my colleague said, we are not against the compensation, but we just think that the right things should be done. We would want to bring to their attention the fact that some of them, or two of them, like my colleague said, are virtually vegetables now and cannot actually engage in any meaningful work to feed their family. And you can see some of them with their children here. That must be factored into the compensation package. The level of compensation will depend on the extent of damage or injury that you have sustained. So we come here and they give everybody equal amount. What are we going to say? And that's why it dawned on us to ask them to put a hold on what they are going to do, and then we'll have an engagement.
The Director of Legal at the National Security Ministry, Osei Dixon, says they had prior engagement with the victims and asked them to bring persons who they want to be part of the negotiations.
So the onus on you when you're invited is to communicate with your intermediaries, your lawyers and things like that. That is okay. In most cases, they came directly. Some also came accompanied by spouses and other friends and things like that. So as far as we're concerned, I mean, they always had the opportunity to engage whichever lawyer or whichever solicitor that they wanted to.
The Chief Director of the National Security Ministry, Lieutenant Colonel Ababiu Sribo, says the National Security Minister himself had to increase the amount that was agreed to be given to the victims.
Maybe we can't go into details as to the computation of the compensation, but it's based on an established procedure from Ministry of Justice, Attorney General's Department. There is a compensation package. I mean, there's a system, a way of computing the compensation. So we had it from there, and even with that, maybe I have to disclose that the Minister for National Security, Honorable Kandapa, on seeing the figures that came up, decided to beef them up. So it means that whatever that we are even paying now are more than what is expected under normal circumstances. Yes. So I don't know. Bring the packages and then let's distribute.
Let's do more on this. I will be speaking to a lawyer, Victor Kojoga Adawudu, who is one of the lawyers for the victims who are affected by the violence that characterized that election. Now, Mr. Adawudu joins us on phone. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. And so you said that this is an ambush. You didn't expect that the compensation packages will be presented to them today, but the Director of Legal at the ministry said that the engagement started 2 months ago.
Good evening and good evening to your cherished viewers. We haven't said that. We said yes, we are surprised that it was to be for the payment of compensation for today. To the best of our knowledge and that of our client, after the Short Commission said compensation should be paid They were invited, and they were asked to submit their medical records and added. That is what they were asked to do. I think if that is for 2 months, and they asked them they should come today. They were invited today, but they were not told that we were coming for payment of compensation. That was why we were taken a little bit aback, and we said, we haven't negotiated, we haven't understood the whole process, and we are acting on the instruction of our clients. So I'm sure if our clients were happy, they had been part of the negotiation, it was done. I don't think they will instruct us that we should look into what are they getting and how transparent and fair the process has been.
But at what point did you get involved in this? Because we had the director of legal say that if they wanted to actually bring in legal representatives, they could have done so. Once they opted not to do that, they could also go ahead with the computation and the processes to have them compensated.
I think there are two things that we are mixing up here. One is that when you invite somebody and says that, tell me the part of your story and your medical record and what happened to you, we are assuming that that is the negotiation. Now, they have already even said that it's an established process that from the Attorney General was involved, they were doing it. But from our clients, after submitting their records and the rest, nothing went on. So to their mind, their understanding, the negotiation was going to start. That is why they felt it was important that they can do the negotiation and they had to involve their lawyers. So if they understood from day one that what they were doing was negotiation, I'm sure they would have involved their lawyers.
How much was packaged to present to them?
We have no idea. We did not even go into details because we raised our legitimate concerns as to the transparency, as to what had gone in, and the various degrees of personal injury suffered by different people. We felt that we should know what had gone into it, the factors that were considered, the Civil Liability Act, the established procedure, what exactly it is. And I think that, yes, we appreciate that, yes, compensation would pay to us. We are not against the compensation, but what we want is that there should be some transparency. We should be satisfied that, yes, we have come to the table, it was explained to us, this is what is being given to us. That's all we asked for. And I think that they graciously accepted that, yes, if that is the process, we will postpone it and engage each other. And once we engage each other, we will come to a consensus and see what is it.
Very well.
So we are not ready whether it will go up or to change or not, but we want the process to be fair for everybody to understand.
Thank you very much. That's lawyer Kojoga Adao, lawyer for the victims of the Ayawaso West Ogun by-election violence. Now, it's been 2 years since the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dr. Benjamin Agojo, was interdicted by the police administration for following his alleged involvement in a coup plot. Dr. Agojo and 9 others have since been charged with high treason by the state. But for over a year now, ACP Agojo has been in court seeking to fully be reinstated by the police administration, even as the trial continues. According to him, his continuous interdiction is unlawful. My colleague Kwekwa Asante was in court in our reports.
Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dr. Benjamin Agojo, could suffer the death penalty if the current high treason charge against him in court is proven. But even as he fights this battle for his life, he's fighting for his job as a senior police officer. ACP Dr. Benjamin Agojo has been on interdiction since November 2019, when he and others were alleged to have been involved in a plot to remove the President of the Republic in a coup. The state contends that as a senior police officer, if he remains at post, he can influence the course of investigation. But for over a year, ACP Dr. Agojo has been in court in an attempt to be fully reinstated, even as the high treason trial continues. According to him, his continuous interdiction is unlawful because per police regulations, any such interdiction of an officer must be revoked after 3 months if no internal disciplinary proceedings are held against such officer. The embattled Assistant Commissioner of Police, Benjamin Agojo, and 9 others were charged with the highest crime of the land, high treason, after the state dropped the previous charge of treason felony. They risk the punishment of death should they be found guilty by 3 High Court judges who have been tasked to hear the matter. The Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame has told an Accra High Court that the accused persons between June 2018 and September 2019 engaged in an elaborate plot geared at overthrowing the government, with discussions on the possibility of killing the president as well. The Attorney General told the court that the accused persons in furtherance of their objective manufactured guns and ammunitions. They also intended to jam transmission of all media organizations except the state broadcaster GBC and capture key state actors. The case challenging his interdiction will be recalled in court on 22nd November 2021.
The over 400 aggrieved law students denied admission into the Ghana School of Law has dragged the General Legal Counsel to court in an attempt to compel the council to offer them admission. This year, only 790 out of the 2,834 candidates were offered admission, even though an extra 499 of them obtained a 50% pass mark. Earlier this week, the students hit the streets to protest the injustice. They also presented a petition to the presidency and parliament demanding an intervention. However, President Akufo-Addo, in a recent interview with Accra-based Peace FM, observed there's no space for them to be admitted. But the students, in a fresh attempt to press their demands, have filed a suit against the General Legal Counsel. My colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins me via Zoom with more on this. Parker, what are the reliefs they are seeking?
Okay, so it's really to understand that this is about their human rights. So that's what they've stated in their writs, and of course the case against the General Legal Counsel. Now, the first relief they are seeking is a declaration that's the conduct of the first respondent. Here, that is the General Legal Counsel, in declaring the applicant, here we are talking about the students, as having failed the entrance examination into the Ghana School of Law for the professional law course held in August 2021, despite the fact that the applicant had obtained marks between 50 and 60 out of a total of 100 marks, is a violation of the Constitution. So they claim that, well, they secured the mark between 50 to 61%, which is actually the pass mark. The General Legal Counsel says have failed, and they want the court to ensure that that has been quashed. Again, they are asking for a statutory right to court the decision of the first respondent that only candidates who obtain at least 50% in each of the section A and B of the Ghana School of Law entrance exams should be the ones to be admitted. So, Ernest, I'm sure you have a better appreciation of the controversy where the new rule passed is that we get 50% in section A and 50% in section B. It doesn't apply to the ordinary rule where the School of Law. They want the court to also quash that. Now, they are also saying that they want a mandamo to compel the first respondent to admit the applicant into the Ghana School of Law. And this is the bottom line for them admission, the bottom line. Another interesting belief they're seeking is that in the event that the
Well, we seem to have a problem with that connection with my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson, but essentially he's given us the reliefs that they are seeking from the courts. Let's go on to the other line. Daniel Sakyi is a leader of the aggrieved students, and he joins us with more on this. Daniel, you're taking the General Legal Counsel to court. You know how the court process can sometimes grind very slowly. At the end of the day, should this even go in your favor, wouldn't this affect your admissions eventually? What happened to your negotiations?
It's not going to affect our admission at all. Basically, we are a group of 499 students who passed the law entrance exams and have been denied admission into the Ghana Law School to pursue our professional law course. We petitioned the various bodies. We petitioned the General Legal Counsel, so it's not like we just woke up one day and decided to go to court. What happened is we even petitioned the president, who acknowledged receipt of our petition and told us that he was going to review the content of our petition and revert to us. Basically, and the reason why we petitioned him was that there was a rule that was published prior to the examination. That particular rule that was published governing the examination, we passed together with our colleagues, but they decided to take some people, leaving the other 499. So and when we began to agitate over the issue, they now brought an ex post facto rule to tell us that you are supposed to pass in each section before you will be taken. That retrospective rule does not apply, and we are all aware. So it has no place in law, in our Ghanaian jurisprudence, seriously. Basically, we petitioned the GLC, we petitioned Parliament, we petitioned the President, we petitioned a whole lot of bodies. Yesterday we were there, and the President came on air and told us that our issue is not different from that of our predecessors. And therefore, the only thing that differentiates us from our predecessors is that we are being a bit more vocal.
In fact, he added that there is no space to admit you. And so, should you win this court case, don't you see another hurdle, administrative hurdle?
Oh, yeah, so basically, I am coming there. So the president added that there is no space to accommodate us, which basically means that not that the students actually failed, but the GLC or there is a scheme that seeks to probably deny these innocent students admission because the government or the GLC or the law school does not have a space to accommodate them. Now, we are saying that if that is the case, then we should be, then it is our right. You don't sacrifice us because of your inability to provide space. That is one. Two, we are asking the court, and you ask that looking at the long, or the case is not going to drag. It's not going to drag, my brother. It's not going to drag. Okay. Basically, we filed an injunction on the General Legal Counsel at the court for the court to restrain the General Legal Counsel from perpetrating or from to restrain them from perpetrating the unlawful act of denying us admission. Basically, what it means is that the General Legal Counsel should be compelled to admit us until the determination of the substantive case.
Very well. Very well. Thank you very much. That's Daniel.
And that is coming.
That's Daniel Sakyi, one of the leaders of the aggrieved students who are demanding that they be admitted to the Ghana School of Law. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Minu. Let's now go over to Arba Kumsin, who has today's editorial.
Accountability breeds responsibility. Think about it for a second. If you're ready to be held responsible, you respond appropriately when demands are made of you and people ask questions or make enquiries, legitimate or not. I make this point because of some issues which have been topical this week. I'm talking about President Akufo-Addo's interview engagements this week, which has sparked debate about the issue of accountability and propriety. The first issue has to do with the chief of Aflao, Togbi Ajonu Gaga, Amenya Fiti, who was concerned about education, particularly an E-Block Community Day Senior High School, which had been abandoned after 2016. The structure has about 26 classrooms, 5 departments, and a science block, built with taxpayers' money. So, this chief vents his frustration and issues an ultimatum to the Ministry of Education to complete the structure by February to create more access to secondary education.
I have to be running from here to Accra, begging. Should we beg for education? If we have to beg for education before our people can go to school, then I don't know what is called democracy at all. I carry this message to the Minister of Education that come February, I want this school to be open.
There's no response to his call from the local or national education authorities, not until the president has an opportunity to respond in a radio interview. And here's what he had to say.
normal minister alternator.
So that was a response from one leader to another, both chosen to represent the people. So let's break this down, shall we? A school has been built with taxpayers' monies, albeit by a government no longer in power. A new government comes into power. The school remains uncompleted and not in use, and students are deprived of education in that area. So it appeared this was a frustrated chief who was only trying to advocate on behalf of his people. So if the president says a chief should fix the school himself, then perhaps he is telling the people to fix their own problems. And this is very problematic. Is the president saying that people cannot hold him to account? That may not be his intention, but that certainly is the picture he's painting. One can argue that the chief could organize his people to complete the school block. True. But that is not the responsibility. The chief does not receive our taxes. He is not living fat on taxes, so why should he complete the project? It is the people entrusted with monies contributed by the masses for our collective development. Of course, we all make mistakes. To err is human, they say. Must the president apologize? He's not obliged to. But it will certainly calm nerves and foster harmony if he does. If he does. So, Mr. President, just as you apologize to the people of Cape Coast, you should also apologize to the chief of Aflao. And speaking of Cape Coast, that town has been in the news following the president's slip that his party never promised the people there a harbour.
First of all, there's a clarification. The commitment was never to a harbour. It was to a landing site.
Okay.
We never committed ourselves. I never said I was going to build a harbour at Cape Coast. I said I was going to build a landing site.
Understandably angered, the residents pointed out the campaign promise in the MPP's manifesto, explicitly stated on page 160. Even so, there was no reaction from the presidency until Mr. President had an opportunity to speak in a radio interview, and he apologized.
I made a mistake.
You did?
Yeah, I made a mistake.
But that apology was not without controversy, as the president insisted they had to take a relook at that promise.
I think some rethinking has to go on for us to be able to find what is the value for money arrangements that work. But it was a mistake.
I agree with the president. Perhaps having a harbour within miles of each other may not be the best in terms of maximizing our resources. So the question is, why was that promise made to the people when you knew it was not feasible? Is it the case of trying to appease people in the spur of the moment and make it lofty campaign promises just to calm the agitations when the real intention is really not to do anything about it? Then it is a shame. Mr. President, at the launch of the 2020 MPP manifesto, you stated, and I quote, "A manifesto represented, for me, a solemn social contract between the electorate and the elected. I had entered into the contract by signing the document on my behalf and that of the MPP," end quote. Of course, it's practically impossible to deliver on every manifesto promise, and no one government can do it all. But if you have entered into a social contract with the elected, you have to necessarily be prepared to give account at any given time. That is an expectation of the people who gave you the mandate to lead them.
You're welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aichi. The National Petroleum Authority has announced that it will implement the suspension of the Price Stabilization and Recovery Levy on fuel for 2 months, beginning November. The authority in the notice said this is based on the letter from the Finance Ministry directing it to commence the reduction from the beginning of next month. This will mean that the price of petrol will go down by 16 pesos per litre, while that of diesel will reduce by 14 pesos when the implementation begins. The implementation of the tax is, however, dependent on parliamentary approval. We're going to stay on fuel matters because government says it is willing to consider removing some taxes on petrol products, but this will be based on some conditions. This follows calls for government to cushion consumers. The Deputy Minister of Energy, Andrew Ejapamesa, says government is looking at other programs that will cushion consumers in these difficult times. He's been speaking on PM Express, the business edition, with George Riafi.
And so what was the value of your increasing taxes and levies from 28 pesos to the 169? And they will tell you that they had to use it for EFGHI expenditure. And then you ask them that, oh, so those EFGH expenditure have all gone away? They have failed to exist? And of course, they will have a difficulty in providing an answer. But I'm saying that, yes, it is a duty of government to manage through a balancing act of its total revenues and expenditures. It is the duty, responsibility, which we admit and accept, of government to provide relief. And you recall when the COVID hit, government provided relief, water, electricity, feeding to people who, because of the pandemic, were unable to make ends meet. You heard the kinds of things.
We understand that.
No, hold on. You recall the kinds of things that they said.
Yeah.
You recall?
Some of them, Honorable.
You don't recall all of them?
I recall some of them, not all of them.
Yeah. So that's the nature. And should that be the conversation? I'm prepared, and I believe that the finance ministry is prepared to look again at whether indeed the bust margin, and I've heard advocacy from civil society, BDC, the chamber, and COPEC, make a case why they think that a certain margin.
So the discussion is going between the Ministry of Finance to look at the possibility of reviewing some levies.
Indeed, I mentioned to Senior Hosi, whom I was on a program with at Joy, that you are a member of the advisory board of the Ministry of Energy. Table these issues, and as far as I'm concerned, to the extent that they are constructive, why not?
The government will look on it as long as it won't have serious impact on our
I'm saying levels. That there has to be a balance.
And that'll be all for business. The bulletin continues.
It's time for Sport Time. Hans Mensah and Accra Hearts of Oak are just one step away from reaching the money zone of the CAF Champions League as they clash with Atletico Casablanca of Morocco in the second leg of the playoff in Casablanca on Sunday. Here is a preview by my colleague Asari Bediako.
The Continental Club Masters have a 1-0 advantage going into Sunday's second leg playoff in Casablanca after defeating WAC in Accra on October 17. A win, a goalless or a scoring draw takes Hearts to the money zone of Africa's club football flagship competition. Head coach Samuel Boedu has devised a strategy to deal with the threats WAC could pose.
Yeah, I believe that when you open up Moroccans in the game situation, they cannot match us. Because one thing I realized about them, they play high balls, right? They play high balls, and we worked on it during our training before we played this match, and we are going to work extra hard on it so that we can contain them. They shouldn't give up, because that's our motto. Yeah, we are going out, and we make sure that we are going to qualify over there.
Thank you.
Mohamed Al-Hassan has been instrumental in Hearts' African campaign. The centre-back is optimistic ahead of the big tie.
One thing I believe is when we put in hard work, comport ourselves like we did in Ghana here, we're going to carry the lead. But I believe in us. We believe in ourselves. But looking at the caliber of players we have now, forget. Because the oneness, the understanding is there. Forget. And I don't think there will be a club that has to will face that won't know that. Yes, I've faced Accra.
Every club will know.
Yeah, the club will know. Because if you were privileged to interview one of the WAC players, you would have certified by himself.
Board member of Hearts, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, believes House can rub shoulders with WAC.
No, their level really wasn't that extraordinary, I would say. A lot was said about them, how dangerous they are as a team, and we were also expecting to see something extraordinary. But you can see that our boys were able to handle them beautifully. In fact, I would say we outclassed them on the field, and if they are sincere, they themselves, but for the referee, we would have scored them numerous goals. I am very sure that the return match that will be within a week in Morocco, our boys will definitely stand them boot for boot, and we shall be victorious.
And that's it for this installment, but still to come here on Joy News Prime. Government launches Operation Clean Your Frontage to initiate steps to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa.
The launching of Operation Clean Your Frontage is an essential step to making that commitment about Accra being the cleanest city in Africa become real.
And KMJ joins me now with the latest in showbiz. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good to see you.
Great.
Nice
good
one
to
there.
see you too. Yeah, I like yours too.
Yeah,
it's a Friday.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
Friday.
Kofi. I love Fridays.
Okay, so you brought trouble.
I brought a bit of it. Anyway, so we spoke about medical yesterday. The fact that we didn't know his fate as of yesterday. Today he appeared in court and he's been remanded. He's going to come back in 5 days' time. And then Jah Lead is a reggae dancehall musician. He also spoken about Shatawale's arrest. And he's talking about some of the games that the musicians play. He thinks it's very unnecessary, and they have to take a look at that. So let's begin with medical. I mean, obviously, we all know that he's definitely going to appear in court today, but we didn't know what the fate looks like in terms of whether he was going to be asked to go home or stay. But he's been remanded for 5 days to appear in court again, and that's unfortunate for him, but that's what it is right now. So he was in court today. Let's check out how it all happened in court today.
La solo, yes alawu, yes alawu. Wanta washika, jenabu. La solo, yes alawu, yes alawu. Wanta washika, jenabu.
Currently at the Accra Circuit Court, where rapper Medical has been remanded for 5 days in prison custody, and he'll be going to Ankafo prison, which is in the central region. Now, this was the conclusion reached by the Accra Circuit Court on Friday, October 22nd, after he was arrested for brandishing a gun on social media. Now, the T-born Samuel Edu Frimpong was charged with unlawful display of arms and ammunition, and he pleaded not guilty. The atmosphere was extremely calm, although the mother and the wife, Fela Makafui, were visibly frustrated. The musician was in handcuffs when he came in here, but his friends managed to create a human fence around him and cover his hands that were in handcuffs with a cloth. My name is Mapito Sibidi for Joy Entertainment.
Very unfortunate events there, but I understand that he's missing out on the show tomorrow.
Yeah,
there's
a big show that he's supposed to perform with Kelvin Board tomorrow, and unfortunately he can't perform on that show because where he finds himself now, he can do it. Yeah.
All right.
Too bad. Now, Jah Lead is a reggae dancehall musician, and he was on Showbiz now. We spoke about Shatter's fate and what he thinks about the artist and what they're going through right now. And he says that some of the games that they are playing now is totally unnecessary, and they have to take a look at that. All right, so that's Jah Lead, and he's got a project coming up later on as well. We're going to be checking that one out. So
Very well.
Tonight we're going to Lagumba. It's going to be live on Joy 99.7 FM. So
DJ Black.
Yeah, we're going together. All right. So in this outfit, it's okay.
Oh yeah, why not? We can. Thank you.
Always welcome, bro.
That's my brother KMJ with the latest in showbiz. Thank you for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, government has launched the Operation Clean Your Frontage initiative as the first of many steps expected to deliver the ambitious promise of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. Now, under the bylaw, some 3,500 officers will be deployed to ensure that owners and occupants of residential, industrial, and office spaces clean the frontages. Offenders of the law could be convicted in summary fines or jail time. My colleague Manuel Quentin was at the launch at the Independence Square and now reports.
It started as mere talk, but now has been translated into the biggest mobilization for any sanitation project in Ghana yet. Regional Minister Henry Cortez's efforts to make Accra great has birthed what he calls Operation Clean Your Frontage.
The Regional Coordinating Council has proved them, and the bylaws have duly been gazetted. The gravamen of the bylaw is that every house owner, respectfully, Mr. President, I repeats, every house owner, occupier, trader, a business and institutions has a responsibility to ensure that the frontage of their premises are indeed, their immediate surroundings are clean.
60 well-trained officers were commissioned to spearhead the enforcement of this particular operation, which has been translated into a bylaw passed and gazetted by all 29 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the Greater Accra region.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the process of recruiting over 3,500 youth. And, Mr. President, just a few are what you see before you, who will be undergoing training to form the city response team, just like in the city guards, to help in the implementation and policing of the agenda. Indeed, all members of team have been drawn and deployed from the various MMBs. Thus, the RCC is generating employment for the teeming youth of Ghana.
Launching the project in a grand ceremony at the Independence Square in Accra, President Akufo-Addo called for concerted efforts across various sectors within the region to ensure the success of the project.
The challenge we have about utilities, services, and sanitation in our capital city. A challenge which can only be overcome not just by the logistics and the bylaws and the rules of engagement, but also by a change in our attitude and behavior. That is why I said at the beginning of my first mandate, it was my determination that by the end of my period as president, Accra would be the cleanest city in Africa. The launching of Operation Clean Your Frontage is an essential step to making that commitment about Accra being the cleanest city in Africa become real.
The resource mobilization was spearheaded by private sector, led by Zoom Lion, under the leadership of its executive chairman, Dr. Joseph Siao Ejapong.
We humbly pledge our full support by providing our vehicles, our tricycles, about 1,000 tricycles. So ESPA, Koniwas, and Zoom Lion partnership provide logistics. And Your Excellency, I humbly want to pray that we're going to make available 100,000 dustbins, available to support the Operation Clean Your Frontage, so that citizenry will get dustbins in placing in front of their houses to discharge the waste.
These are the trucks that have been commissioned today. These are the trucks that have been commissioned and are expected to go into the various MMDAs and ensure the smooth operations of this particular bylaw. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Manuel Quentin.
Now, government has revealed plans to vaccinate more Ghanaians with the commencement of the second phase of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Government earlier this year announced plans to vaccinate 20 million Ghanaians before the end of year in 2 phases. The first phase included some selected people, including parliamentarians, the judiciary, and frontline workers. The second phase, however, targets the general population, and government says it hopes to start by the end of October. Michael Papani-Ashale has been interacting with the manager for Ghana's expanded program for immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsa-Achiano.
We started COVID-19 vaccine deployment on the 1st of March, when His Excellency the President launched it some months ago. Following that, we started with the deployment in phases. We did what we call segmented populations, following the epidemiology of the disease and, of course, an element of equity. To date, we have received about 7.3 million doses of all kinds of vaccines. Five vaccines have actually passed emergency use authorization by FDA. So these are AstraZeneca, Sputnik, Johnson & Johnson, and lately Pfizer and Moderna. As I speak, we've distributed more than half of the vaccines. The other half was received just a couple of days to a week ago. So we still have some 3.4 million, almost 3.5 million doses that we are now deploying or distributing to the regions. We've done about 2.8 million doses, which means that some have received 2, others have received 1. If you look at those who have received at least a dose, would stand around 2 million. And that translates to about 11% of the population, of the target population, having received at least a dose. So we've now moved beyond the segmentation. We are now in the general population, so we are doing what we call the phase 2. And for the phase 2, all persons 18 years and above, with notable exception to some of the vaccines, but generally the communication should be that all persons 18 years and above, so that there's no confusion about it. If we have special cases, we'll treat them on case-by-case basis. And so come 26th, some of the regions will start. Remember, we are doing a multiplicity of activities about COVID and about other diseases, because the other diseases are there as well. So not all regions are going to start the same time. Some will start from the 26th, others will start somewhere in November. By latest, by mid of November, all regions would have started the new vaccines that we received, Moderna and Johnson and Pfizer. Of course, we've distributed Johnson & Johnson as well.
The National Disaster Management Organization says over 1,000 residents have been affected by Tuesday's floods in the Asokwe-Mampo municipality of the Ashanti region. Over 100 households are involved in NADMO's assessment of damage caused by the floods. It comes as victims of the floods, a majority of them displaced, count their losses after their rooms were inundated. Ohimenteria reports.
Tuesday's floods say they have been forced to put up in mosque after their rooms were inundated. Personal belongings and unspecified amounts of money have been lost to the floods. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, says over 1,000 residents in 6 communities are affected in the Asokwe-Mampo municipality alone. Among the affected areas is the Alawakbal part of the Sipe community. Hajia Sadia Alasa is one of the affected landowners. She lost money and her 10 rooms are inhabitable due to the impact of the flood. She breaks down anytime she comes to terms with her loss. Another landlord, Kwesifori, recounts how he lost his 12-room habitation and amount of 5,000 Ghana cedis.
Fence wall. I do that infinity. Obia dimi ngwekwa no kofa bibi. Lansane na brada me yira ko yiska. About 50 million. The
flood victims are yet to receive any form of support from government. Officials of NADMO have been in the community to assess the situation. Alhaji Faiza is Director of Operations of NADMO in the Asokore-Mampo municipality.
The areas affected were about 6. The Abuabo, Palele, the Pakusu, Bobine, Asabi Junction, where we are right now, they were all affected. More than 1,000 people are involved because in our municipality, you can get a household that contains more than 100 people in it. So I can tell you, we have more than 1,000 people who are affected. So far, we've covered almost up to 70% of our assessment. And then currently, we have over 100 households which have been affected, and we are still working on it. Some of our staffs have been deployed to the other areas to see how best they can also assess those households over there. Most of them have lost a lot their household items. Some of them even have lost their physical cash because the rain has washed out a lot of items.
Meanwhile, residents of Atafua have been forced to pay more for transport in their attempts to access adjoining communities after the floods cut the road linking Kronom, Afrancho and other areas into two. The floods also diverted the course of the Enyinasu stream, putting the lives of school kids and other residents at risk.
We as an individual tried to put some stones and even a bridge here, but immediately as it rains, the current takes off everything we have put here. And so people outside this river cannot pass here anymore. If you want to go to the other side, you have to bypass a long way before you reach the place. And you see, people are using unapproved ways to get to their houses and all that.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
Traders at the KGT Market in Kumasi have agreed to start payment of accrued electricity bills. The traders have defaulted payment of 2.1 million cedis in electricity bills for 5 months in protest against their inability to access separate meters. An intervention by the Kumasi Mayor Samuel Pine saved the situation. The small in the following report.
A fortnight ago, the ECG cut power at the KGT Market. For close to 6 hours, businesses were at standstill. The traders maintained without separate meters, they will not pay the accumulated debt. After meeting the Kumasi Mayor, the traders have agreed to start payments of debt owed to ECG, including other service charges. Operations Manager of KGT Traders Association, Ahmed Kwatin, says Sampain's action clearly indicates he is on their side, hence their decision to start payments of accumulated debts.
Because
we want to thank Honorable Sampain because we know that soon he's going to sign the contract. We are not saying we will not pay the debt. We will pay if each trader gets their own meter.
Yes, I can. The kind is a cano. See who say, Obia meter badia, a Bajania. So if I am Comodiana corner, who say, meters no, and who you median enter meters and weber. Na Sabio, Yavisu, Nkania, that's a casse dawa. They are just saying this year, Nefe. Tino, but in also, what the to a leadership planning. Say, Yarisha, Jumediana, Ecoson, say,
Kumasi Mayor says there are ongoing arrangements to get separate meters installed at the shops.
Yeah, we've met with the stakeholders. I've had discussions with the Electricity Company of Ghana on the roadmap to how we can settle the debts or the indebtedness of the tenants. In quote, I mean those who are working at the KGT Market to the ECG. We also made them know that yes, it's important to adhere to whatever discussions that we've had, and therefore we've given them up to about Tuesday. That yesterday, today, tomorrow, Monday, the letter they will collect, we will take that as basis for drawing a payment or making a payment plan for them. Again, we're also working with the contractors, those who put in their bid. The Electricity Company of Ghana, experts from there have tested their meters, they've done background check of, due diligence on these companies, and we've been assured that they can effectively execute that project.
The Ghana Federation of Disability Organization is appealing to transport unions to help sensitize drivers on the need to respect pedestrians using the white cane. They believe such education will reduce the fear of vehicular knockdown of the visually impaired. There's more in the following report.
The Federation of Disability Organization laments most drivers in Ghana are ignorant of what the white cane represents. President of the group, Alfred Tebian-Ponsa, bemoaned the lack of respect for the white cane, which makes it difficult for the visually impaired to navigate with ease.
Whenever a person with blindness is crossing a road, either a pedestrian or a zebra crossing, and it shows the white cane, they should please have a time for the person to cross, because if not, it will lead the person to another disability because of the cane. People are not respecting the cane. And on the 15th October, it was International White Cane Day throughout the whole world. So we are appealing to the GPRT and other transport organizations to have education for their members, especially the drivers.
Meanwhile, the Calvary Charismatic Church has donated 100 technology-assisted white canes to the Ghana Federation of Disability Organization. Head Pastor Ransford Obin promised to donate to the organization yearly to support the visually impaired in the Ashanti region.
Last year we gave 200. This year we had 100, but we are going to do, in fact, we have decided that every year we will donate. Every year we will donate. That is what we have decided to do. This time, the canes that we got had got some special features that even help more of the safety when they are walking, and it shows you where there is danger or there's an object, everything. So we are so grateful that we could do that.
Members of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organization expressed gratitude for the gesture. Anita Sewa Ajoga's report read to you.
2 police officers on Thursday died in a road accident on the Walewale-Bolgatanga Highway. 3 other officers who were part of the team sustained various degrees of injury and have been airlifted from the Tamale Teaching Hospital to Accra for treatment. The officers are said to be members of the Special Anti-Robbery Task Force responding to an emergency on the road when the incident happened Thursday.
Although police in the region have remained tight-lipped, the Director General of Public Affairs confirmed the incident in a statement. Eyewitnesses, however, claimed the officers were pursuing robbers when their vehicle suddenly veered off the road, somersaulted multiple times before crashing into a ditch after the driver allegedly attempted to dodge an approaching vehicle. They were rushed to the Walewale Hospital, where the 2 were confirmed dead and the other serious injured. Both the bodies and the injured were later transferred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital and were being prepared to be airlifted to Accra for further examinations, according to the police. Several police officers thronged the Walewale Government Hospital to catch a glimpse of their injured as well as former colleagues before they were taken away. Chairman of the Municipal Security Council was also at the hospital, but none of them was willing to speak with the media. It also comes as hundreds of security personnel are deployed in Walewale ahead of the performance of the final funeral rite for the late mother of the Vice President, who is also the chairman of the National Police Council. Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
The Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufudampari, Friday reached out to the families of the deceased officers. On his visit to Tamale, he facilitated the medical transfer of the injured. Let's stay in the region. The Paraga community in Wale has seen a drastic facelift as part of preparations for the final funeral rite of the late mother of the Vice President Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Ahead of preparations for the ceremony on Saturday, roads, street lights and some abandoned projects in the community are being fixed overnight. Residents of the community have been reacting to the development with a lot of excitement. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko has more.
Vice President Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia has arrived in his hometown Wale along with several other dignitaries for the funeral of his late mother Hajia Mariama Mumuni, who died last month after a short illness. The funeral ceremony is slated to begin Saturday and end on Sunday, with thousands of mourners, including the president, expected to be in attendance. As part of preparations, however, the Paraga community has received an unprecedented facelift. There have been overnight constructions of new roads, street lights are being fixed, and heaps of rubbish being cleared in the area. This road, which links to the private residence of the vice president and had been abandoned as part of the Wale Township Roads project, has suddenly been worked on. The same with this road at other end, which links directly to the funeral ground. The Paraga Primary School, which is the venue for the ceremony, has also witnessed some form of renovation. The development has left the community members talking instead of mourning. Assemblyman for the area, Saidi Donko Isa, however, says the people are thankful to the authorities for the ongoing works.
For them saying that the street lights were not there, for me, they may be right in a way, but there were street lights in the electoral area before. They have been added, some have been replaced, because we were just appealing to the assembly to come and do some maintenance. But since they have come, they have replaced some of them. And we are very happy. About the rules, it's a welcome news to us. It's like once a man said, when they were coming to do it, one of them said, this is an opportunity for us. And it's like a by-election. So we are happy for them coming to do some roads for us.
The municipal chief executive Arumia Osomolake, who is a member of the funeral planning committee, denying the residents' claim while giving details of the funeral arrangements.
People may say whatever they want, but the truth of the matter is that this is a contract that was awarded even when our mother was still strong. And you could see what of the roads that have been tied already. We have the Kukwasgu roads that have been tied, the Wale Wungu road that have been tied, the Wale Tamplungu road that have been tied. Who now associate that one to death? We don't wish that. But it would have been a good news if we have our mother passing on, and that also brings development to us. It's not bad at all, but that is out of order, because we already have our contracts in order and the contractors are working.
The MCA also said measures have been put in place to ensure a successful funeral ceremony.
As we speak, we have over 300 police personnel that are going to deploy between Wale and its surrounding. And a lot of checkpoints will also be there to make sure that those who are coming are not affected by anybody. But you can see that security situation in Wale has improved tremendously. For the past 3 months or so, we haven't even heard of an attempt of robbery in the municipality. From today, the clerics, especially the ulama of the Muslim Council, will start prayers for our departed mother from today up to tomorrow evening, which will continue with traditional activities. We'll have a lot of cultural dance and other events. The final of Musketeers will start from tomorrow Friday up to Sunday morning. Then after Sunday morning, they will now have the official program. I think everything is in order. We are praying to the Almighty Allah to guide us to have a successful program.
Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
Let's return to the Ashanti region. Asante Inotunfo Osei II is requesting the establishment of a monitoring team to ensure judicious use of stool land revenue. 55% of the amount accrued to Stu Lands revenue is allocated to the district assemblies for development. Asantehene believes there's the need for the public to have full details of the use of the revenue to ensure development. Nana Ojima was at the 25th anniversary celebration of the Office of Administration for Stu Lands and filed this report.
By law, 55% of revenue collected in Stu Lands is allocated to metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies for development. 25% of the allocation is given to Stus, while the traditional authority gets 20% and the Office of Administrator of Stu Lands maintains 10% as administrative charge. Chief of Domiabra Asante Achem, Bafo Osubediakon, represented the Asantehene at the event.
They owe it a duty to account to Nananom and our subjects the judicious utilization of our revenues. Unfortunately, our people mistakenly demand accountability from Nananom when indeed Clause 6 of Article 267 of the 1992 Constitution enjoins Nananom to use their stool shares of the revenue for the maintenance of the stool in keeping with its status. There is the need to fasten out monitoring and evaluation team comprising the OASL, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development with respect to the use of these revenues by the MMDAs.
President of the National House of Chiefs says the MMDAs have failed to utilize their share of the fund to benefit their areas. Ojehoho Yaojebi explains.
My second observation is the completion of developmental projects by MMDAs. We congratulate them, but let me also take this opportunity to warn those who use the money to collect garbage. We should cease from using the money to collect garbage, because garbage, once it is taken, it is very difficult to go back to account for the quantity that was taken, and that is where the leakage is.
Meanwhile, illegal mining in parts of the country is negatively impacting Stu Land revenue. The destruction of lands in the quest to mine for gold has rendered them useless. There are therefore no occupants to fulfill traditional obligations in ground rent. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Ebujinapo, explains the success of the war against illegal mining will increase revenue accrued through Stu Lands.
Already, we are dealing with illegal mining, which in some parts of the country have destroyed Stu Lands and negatively impacted on Stu Land revenue. I will crave the indulgence of Nananom to continue to work with us in the fighting against this canker. We are also pursuing an aggressive afforestation scheme which will see to the reclamation of some degraded Stu Lands to make them economically viable.
The Office for Stu Lands have reiterated their preparedness to work with stakeholders in the improvement of collection and use of Stu Land revenue. Mame Ama Edumaze Akwa is administrator.
The Office of Administrator of Stu Lands consults with schools and skins and other traditional authorities in all matters relating to the administration and development of Stu Lands and makes available to them all relevant information and data. Similarly, the office coordinates with all relevant public agencies and traditional authorities and schools in preparing policy framework for the rational and productive development and management of Stu Lands.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
This is Joy News Prime with me, and Estimini. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you more business and sports stories. Don't go away.
In business, the Chief Executive Officer of Accent and Arts, Constance Waneka, is calling for the institution of coaching and mentorship hubs for young people to prepare them for entrepreneurship. She believes with the right training, startups can thrive in the private sector post-COVID-19. There is more in this report.
The Stanford Seed Business Conference is targeted towards helping businesses that are growing to scale up their activities. The conference was in order to identify challenges these businesses are facing post-COVID and to help them achieve stability going forward. Here is President of the Stanford Seed Transformation Network Ghana, Linda Ya Ampa.
2020 brought a lot of challenges with it.
But at the same time, it created a lot of opportunities, and we are grateful to God that we are all here to continue to pursue initiatives and activities that would contribute to developing Ghana's economy. Additionally, the African Continental Free Trade represents an important milestone in achieving an economically integrated Africa, which provides opportunities for businesses. It is also important to note that the UN has declared 2021 the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development to promote sustained and inclusive economic growth, foster innovation, and provide opportunities, benefits, and empowerment for all.
United States Ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan, in her remarks, stated that Ghanaians should leverage the opportunities presented by the Stanford Seed Transformation Network to be able to meet global standards.
Innovation can mean combining pre-existing ideas and technologies in novel ways. As we plan our own personal and business transformations, it's also important to look at the big picture, the business environment in Ghana and globally. That is why I'd like to mention President Biden's recent announcement of the Build Back Better World program.
Chief Executive Officer of Accent and Arts, Constance Swanica, speaking to Joy Business, called for the institution of coaching and mentorship hubs for young people to prepare them for entrepreneurship.
As a young startup, what you're actually looking for is mentorship, coaching, capacity building. And so let's look at those sort of tools that would enable a young person, take the first step. So I would definitely encourage that we have more hubs that are incubating startup businesses, and to begin to grow that and to grow the incubation ecosystem. Startups can only emerge after you have learned what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, but if we're going to create an environment that allows them to start and fail and learn from it, and I think this is what we are all saying, we've all gone through the pain of entrepreneurship. And so young people should also realize that, this sense of entitlement, and expect that we all started off and we all had access to seed capital. In fact, in our generation, or at our time, there was nothing like startup capital. They are lucky that they have incentives from both the public sector right now. The government, I understand, is doing quite well to push initiatives too, but you have to earn it. If you haven't gone through the pain of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, you don't have the capacity building. What would you do if we gave you startup capital?
Now, the president of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce, the Ghana-Canada Chamber of Commerce, Alexander Norte, says the association is poised to promote Ghanaian companies in Canada and vice versa. According to him, his outfit is considering embarking on corporate social responsibility projects in the country. We have more from an event dubbed CEOs Connect.
The Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce is bent on taking full advantage of existing opportunities and create new ones for its members. The association aim is to promote the interests of its members by providing advocacy and business information, networking opportunities, as well as services to encourage and develop a close relationship and bilateral trade between Canada and Ghana. Here is the president of the association, Alexander Norte.
This program is all about business. It's all about business networking between local companies and Canadian companies. The chamber has a lot of multinational companies, but the thing is to promote trade between Canada and Ghana. We're trying to promote Ghanaian companies to do business in Canada and vice versa. The relationship is very good. As the chamber, we have the Canada High Commission, who also are members of the chamber, and we have the Canadian Trade Attaché, who's here with us today. So basically, we liaise with them on a regular basis. They're part of us, and we interact on a regular basis. Yeah.
The association seeks to be proactive and promote businesses for the development of bilateral trade for both countries. James Eshon's report for Joy Business.
Now, the Ghana Federation of Forests, moving on to other stories, I beg your pardon, unemployment among graduates has been a bane to economic growth. But some graduates have taken the bull by the horns to create their own businesses despite the harsh economic environment. James Eshen tells us more in this report.
Every year, students are being admitted into the university. Same year, students are also being graduated out of the university. According to the Institute for Statistics, Social and Economic Research, only 10% of these students who graduate from various universities get jobs after school. We are here at the University of Ghana to speak to some students who started their businesses whilst on campus and still not giving up on their dreams to be entrepreneurs. Then we speak to an expert, Dr. Lord Mensah, to also know what's the way forward as a country. Let me start from you, Emmanuel Gameli. You tell me what you've been up to and what your business is all about.
I competed University of Ghana as a biomedical engineering student. And yeah, so I am actually the founder of Banvet Consults. So at Banvet Consults, we do business consultation where we give assistance to people who want to start their business. We give them advice, and sometimes those that do not have their business registered too, we assist them to register their businesses. Also, we do graphic designing and entrepreneurship training.
I understand you are into transport services, and you've been doing this for some years now. Take me through what you do with respect to your transport service business.
Thank you very much. My name is Barnabas Mensah Lyrics. I run a transport company named New Best Transport Services on University of Ghana campus and other university campuses. We began operation in 2019 when we realized that there is a problem that needs to be solved. We realized that students go through several challenges when school is on vacation in their pursuit to travel from campus to home, and then vice versa on resumption. So we said, okay, why not we provide buses that would be available to transport these students to their various homes and then back to campus on vacation and then resumption respectively. So we did that in 2019. That is when we began, and then I think business was booming. We were able to extend it to some other campuses, some few campuses here in Accra. We are looking forward to extending it to so many campuses, university campuses, and even senior high schools in the country. I think that our services, this is a service-oriented business, so we didn't require too much capital. I capitalized on the connections that I had with people. As at that time, Vanda Lyrics in Commonwealth Hall, I was all over the place, so I leveraged on the relationship I had with people. And then, these are the same people who would be patronizing our services, and they were the same people who recommended us to their colleagues in the other hall. So that was how come we were able to start with New Best Transport Services. From the beginning, the passengers were not forthcoming. That is for the start of most businesses, but we weren't that demoralized. We were still high-spirited that there are glorious moments in the days ahead. So we moved on, and today, New Best is all over the place.
If you look at business, obviously, every business startup needs money, and the monies that are needed for such businesses needs to be friendly in terms of the recovery. Because a typical business that is starting, pick up maybe entrepreneur who has just started, cannot easily have funds from the bank. Have we, as a country, sat down to look at even partnership? This youth, the young ones that you interviewed, I believe, might have approached one of you, people they think they have it in the society. And so if the government, apart from the government himself taking that initiative, Ghana, one thing I've realized is that when a policy is being rolled out and it tends to be government-oriented, that policy never see itself to the latter, to the implementation level. And so what I would encourage, more or less a solution to, what you asked me would be that, government should partner the private man in financing entrepreneurs. The private man, we have people who have money now who are prepared to help people who have brilliant ideas and they want to see it running through as a business.
After interacting with Dr. Lord Mensah, we are being made to understand that the government needs to partner with the private sector to create employment for these teeming youth who are out there being unemployed. This can be done when there's a thorough partnership from the private sector as well as the public sector. For Joy Business, James Eshen.
And that'll be all for business, but we'll leave you with a summary of international business news. I'm Charles Aite, after which we have the bulletin going on. Do stay with us.
Welcome back to Sports and Joy News Prime. I'm Hans Mengsando. Sky FC will clash with Tema Youth in the final of the maiden edition of the Division 1 Super Cup at the Medina AstroTurf on Saturday. Here is a preview by Oreku Ampofo.
The maiden edition of the Division 1 League Super Cup will conclude on Saturday, October 23rd at the Medina AstroTurf. The competition, which commenced with 8 teams from the 3 zones of Division 1, is now set for closure this weekend as Tema Youth and Sky FC go head-to-head in the grand finale. Both teams finished first and second respectively in Group A during the group stages, with just 2 points separating them. During the group stage encounter between the pair, Tema Youth came back from a goal down in the first half to salvage a point as they topped the table. Head coach of Sky FC believes his team have learned their lesson and go into the final with more confidence of upsetting Tema Youth.
Of course, because we played them. We were in the same group with them. We played our last match in the group and we nearly made it. In fact, you know, there is this problem in our team. Should I call it a problem? I would say is lack of experience on the part of some of the guys, because the Tema Youth game, well, in the time added one, I think it was 5 minutes added, and we played about 3 minutes or so. In fact, we let our guard down. A very silly, I say silly. At least we could have protected that, but hey, it went in and it ended 1-1. And the way I saw them, nothing shows that we cannot beat them in the finals. I'm very optimistic we can beat them.
Going into the final, both teams look well prepared after impressive victories in the semi-final stage. Tema Youth beat Samatex with a 2-1 scoreline, while Sky FC come into this game off the back of an extra time winner against Accra Lions. The centre referee for the clash will be Jacob Asefua, with James Osafo and Ernest Akate supporting from the touchlines. Tema Youth have scored 5 goals in the competition so far, conceding only 2 goals, 1 less than Sky FC have shipped in all tournaments.
We'll bring you more on this later. But President of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kweku, says his administration has done a lot for Ghana football and will continue despite disagreements from certain quarters in the football communities. Let's hear from the man himself, Keto Kweku.
We would always want to do the very best for our sport. 2 years is already gone. We've done a lot for Ghana football. 2 years ahead of us offers all of us a lot more opportunities to do our best for Ghana football, and we will not renege on our commitment towards the sport. Our intention is to do our maximum for the sport, and I say this all the time, we all have one vision, colleagues. Where we differ is how to navigate the vision, or how to navigate our ideas to the vision that we all share. So the fact that you disagree with my style should not mean you're against me, should not mean I'm against you. The fact that I disagree with your style should not mean I don't love you. We all have one vision, to grow Ghana football.
And that'll be all for sports. You can read more in the meantime at myjoyonline.com/sports. I am Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
Now, just before we go, police in Tamale were Thursday attacked by a mob attempting to lynch a man alleged to have threatened a Muslim cleric. 2 vehicles belonging to the police were also smashed in the process. The mob charged at the police for coming to the rescue of their victim. Northern Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga confirmed the incident to Joy News.
The story was just that the person dared those clerics, challenging them to come and burn his traditional worshipping idols. For that matter, some people were not happy about that and decided to look for him. So we went there, immediately called the command and went there, joined by other officers to go and rescue this gentleman. When we got there, the crowd was so thick. A lot of people were thronging that area in an attempt to catch a glimpse, others in an attempt to attack and then lynch him. Subsequently, the regional police commander mobilized more men, which proceeded to assist. We went there and met some opinion leaders of the mosques around the area and came to an agreement to rescue the said gentleman to police station to conduct investigations. However, some of the people, that is the mob, were not happy about that. So in an attempt to rescue the person, some started throwing stones, others were also attacking the police. And
Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga also tells Joy News no arrests have been made yet.
Investigations are ongoing to identify those persons that caused the victim's arrest. The command is interested and curious to know the reasons for all that instead of resorting to the law enforcement agency. Meanwhile, we sympathize with them for such acts or comments by any person who likely to say something against somebody's beliefs, which we know the Constitution guarantees each and everyone's belief. We are in talking terms with the Muslim community here to find the best way forward to ensure the safety of the victim in our custody. We know Tamale here is an Islamic community, mostly. Most of the members here are Muslims. For such comments to be made and posted on the social media, we, the command here, disagree with the victim's stand. However, we need to do all that possible to ensure his safety and to make sure that people do not take the law into their own hands to attack people or in effect vandalize police vehicles Some of our members or some of our personnel were also attacked in a way because they were not happy that we came in early to rescue him. However, we are taking a stand which is negotiable. He's still with us in our custody. We are keeping him in a secret location for his own safety.
And that's Bernard Ananga, who is the crime officer for the Northern Region. That's it for our package tonight. Many thanks for your company throughout the week. From me and the production team, we say have a great weekend. But you can find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com, and you have very strong audios there of the president in that interview on Peace FM. We also have stories including John Boydu blaming current employment challenges on NDC. Sami Jemfi disagrees, and Gamancha appeals to Akufo-Addo for support to change Greater Accra to Ga-Adanbe region. That's a top story many of you are reading there. My name is Ernest Mena.